There is a moment in every war when one strike changes everything. Not a speech, not a border crossing. A single strike that forces every government on earth to stop and recalculate everything it thought it knew about this conflict. That moment just happened. And most people watching the news right now do not understand what they are actually looking at. Iran just hit Dimona. Dimona, the home of Israel's Shimon Peres Negev Nuclear Research Center, the most protected and most sensitive piece of real estate in the entire Middle East. The site every intelligence agency on Earth has tracked for decades. Iranian missiles reached it, struck residential buildings around it, left craters and fires across Dimona and the nearby city of Arad. Over 100 people wounded in a single night. And Israeli officials called the fact that no one died a miracle. When a government calls its own defense outcome a miracle, that is not a victory statement. That is an admission that the defense was not enough and luck filled the gap. If this is your first time here, this channel gives you the full picture the mainstream narrative is not built to deliver. Hit subscribe right now because this story is moving fast and you need to understand what comes next before it arrives. Let us start with the sequence of events on March 22 because the order matters enormously. Earlier that day, the United States struck Iran's Natanz nuclear enrichment facility, one of Iran's most critical and most protected nuclear sites. Iran's response came the same night, coordinated ballistic missile waves targeting southern Israel with a deliberate and specific focus on the area surrounding the Dimona Nuclear Research Center. This was not a random barrage fired in anger. This was a calculated strategic response, delivering one message with absolute clarity. You hit our nuclear program, we will reach yours. Missiles struck residential buildings in Dimona directly. More strikes landed in Arad. Drone footage showed shattered buildings, deep craters and fires burning through the night, while emergency teams worked across multiple impact sites simultaneously. Over 100 wounded, some seriously. An Iron Dome failed to stop enough incoming missiles to prevent direct impacts on the ground around Israel's most sensitive nuclear infrastructure. Israel is calling it a miracle. A miracle means the outcome was better than it could have been. It does not mean the defense worked. It means luck filled the gap that the defense left open. And luck is not a sustainable defense strategy. Now here is the strategic reality that almost nobody is explaining. And this is where the real weight of what just happened becomes clear. Iran did not try to hit the Dimona reactor directly. Hitting an active nuclear reactor creates consequences that go far beyond any military objective. Radiation, contamination, international escalation at a scale that transforms the entire conflict. Iran is not trying to trigger that outcome. What Iran did was demonstrate with documented precision that it can reach Dimona, that its missiles can navigate Israeli airspace, saturate the air defense layers covering that zone, and land in the immediate vicinity of Israel's nuclear infrastructure. The message is not what Iran destroyed last night. The message is what Iran proved it can reach. Every military strategist watching this conflict just received that message. Israel's most sensitive site is no longer sitting behind an impenetrable wall of air defense. Iran has shown the coordinates, shown the capability, shown the willingness to use it, and shown that the systems protecting that site cannot guarantee stopping a coordinated attack. That changes the deterrence calculation for this entire region, not just for Israel and Iran. For every government that has been positioning itself in this conflict based on assumptions about what Iran could and could not reach. Those assumptions just got updated by Iranian ballistic missiles landing near Dimona. Now the defense failure needs to be examined honestly, because this is the part being packaged very carefully by Western media. Iron Dome intercepted the majority of what Iran fired. That is true, and it deserves to be said clearly. But majority interception in a saturation campaign does not mean the defense worked. It means the defense worked for most of the missiles. And most is not enough when the targets being missed include areas surrounding a nuclear research facility. Iran's saturation strategy is specifically designed to find and exploit the coverage gaps that open up when a defense system is hit with simultaneous threats from multiple directions at different speeds and altitudes. This approach has been refined across every wave since late February. Each intercept tells Iran something about where coverage is strongest. Each missile that gets through tells Iran where the gaps are. The campaign is not just military pressure. It is a live intelligence operation, mapping Israeli air defense architecture in real time. And the economics of this exchange are the part mainstream coverage consistently underplays. Every Israeli interceptor costs vastly more than the Iranian missile or drone it destroys. That cost gap accumulates across hundreds of intercepts per wave and thousands across the full campaign. Iran's domestic production lines are running. Supply chains through third countries and partner networks are functioning despite years of sanctions designed to stop them. Defense is expensive. Iranian offense at domestic production costs is cheap. And the stockpile math that results from that gap is the quiet pressure building underneath every interception success rate reported as a defense victory. Now the broader picture, because the Dimona strike did not happen in isolation. This escalation sequence began February 28, when the U.S.-Israel campaign against Iranian nuclear and military infrastructure launched its opening strikes. Since then, Iran has responded with multiple waves of ballistic missiles and drones hitting Israeli cities, military positions, and now the zone surrounding Israel's own nuclear site. U.S. bases in the region have been targeted. Proxy forces across Iraq, Lebanon, and Yemen are applying simultaneous pressure on multiple fronts. The Strait of Hormuz closure is pushing global oil above levels, creating real economic pain across the United States, Europe, and Asia. The March 22 exchange added a dimension this conflict has not entered before. A U.S. strike on Natanz followed within hours by an Iranian strike near Dimona, two sides hitting each other's nuclear infrastructure on the same day. When nuclear sites become active target categories on both sides of a live military exchange, the risk calculations that have kept nuclear weapons unused since 1945 begin operating under pressure. They were never designed to absorb indefinitely. Iran has the materials, the designs, the delivery systems. The decision to move toward a weapons program under conditions of sustained existential military pressure is the scenario every serious analyst privately identifies as the most dangerous direction this conflict could travel. March 22 did not take it there, but it moved the conflict measurably closer to the conditions where that decision becomes thinkable for Iranian leadership. That movement is the single most significant development in this war since it began. So where does this go from here? Israel is now in a position where continuing current operations means accepting ongoing Iranian strikes against its territory, including the zone around its most sensitive nuclear site, while defense stockpiles consume faster than resupply can fully replace them. The attrition math has not changed. It still favors Iran's production capacity over time. And the Dimona strikes have added new political pressure on Israeli leadership to escalate decisively before Iran demonstrates it can do more than reach the perimeter of that site. Massive escalation means striking Iranian launch infrastructure hard enough and fast enough to destroy it before interceptor stockpiles hit critical depletion. But every consequence attached to that option remains. Regional proxy activation across multiple fronts. Global economic disruption intensifying beyond its current level. Major power involvement shifting the balance in ways that cannot be fully controlled. And underneath all of it, the nuclear question that March 22 just made significantly harder to treat as a distant scenario. Iran struck near Dimona. Israel called it a miracle. The West is framing it as a defense success because the reactor was not hit directly. But the real story is not what was hit. The real story is what was reached. And what was reached on March 22 just changed every calculation in this war. The gap between the official story and the ground reality just got wider in southern Israel, and it is not closing. The next breakdown covers the escalation scenarios analysts are discussing privately right now, the timelines and the triggers that move this conflict into territory nobody currently wants to enter, but that March 22 just brought measurably closer. Subscribe and hit the bell. This story is not slowing down, and the next development will not wait for you to catch up.